Afternoon everyone, welcome back to the channel. So it's been a while, I haven't done a video for a long time. I've also had this amp for quite a long time, a few months now. It's the Marshall DSL1. Probably this, I think it's the smallest all valve amp that Marshall do, and it's brilliant. So I'm going to just take you through this amp, give you a full review of it, some sound samples. I'll go through all its features, its build, everything. So anyway, let's start with the looks. Well, it's a Marshall, isn't it? I mean, it's iconic, gold and black fascia. It's great. I love the looks of the Marshall. There it is in all its glory. A Marshall valve amp. Doesn't get any better than that in my opinion. Round the back, it's a closed back design. 8 inch, not inch, Celestian speaker, which is nice. I'll go through the features in a bit, but anyway, we've got lots of stuff going on in the back there. I'll give you the measurements. Let's get the tape measure out here. So it's almost 35 centimeters wide. It's about 32 centimeters high, and width-wise 20 centimeters. It's a small amp. It's not that small. That small amp, so it's very chunky, it's very sturdy. I mean, this weighs about, I'd say it weighs about 10 kilograms, which is not that light. It's just built really well. You know, it's got a nice thick cabinetry on there. It's not going to be solid wood. This is probably MDF or something, but it does feel very, very solid. Nice corner protectors, front and back. It's solid. I mean, Marshall build quality, it's second to none really, and this is no different. Rubber feet, always handy. So there you go. Looks wise, build wise, it's not going to break. I can't fault it really. This is a £250 amp. I think I got it for something like £240. And you know, there's a lot of features. I'll get to the features later, but it, you know, it does come with a nice box, as you can see, which has got all the manuals in, the kettle lead, but also this really nice switch. Very sturdy Marshall brand, LED on there. I probably wouldn't use it for in the house, but if you were gigging this, and you could gig it if you mic'd it up, that's a great foot switch. Plus you can use that foot switch for other stuff. If you're into home recording, a lot of USB devices have got a foot switch input now, so that's going to come in handy somewhere along the line. Not right now, but anyway, I've got myself a decent all metal foot switch there, Marshall brand, which is probably worth about £20. So that's nice to have. I'll just put that back. So yeah, I'll go through the features now, I think, and then we'll talk a little bit about the value for money. So let's start. I think we'll start excuse me, at the back panel. So we'll just turn this round. Just start by saying that this is it's an all valve amp, 2 ECC 83s in the preamp and 1 EL84 in the power amp. 2 ticks. I'm just going to get myself a water. Right, sorry about that. Right, so some people will say that this isn't actually an all valve amp, and that's because it hasn't got a valve rectifier, but you can argue with that amongst yourselves. I disagree. I think it is an all valve amp. If it's got valves in the preamp and valves in the power amp, it's an all valve amp, in my opinion. Anyway, so let's go through this back panel. So from the left, kettle lead for the power, which was supplied. Thanks, Marshall. And this is so much better than having a built-in wired in lead. Because if that breaks your stuff, it's nice to having a separate kettle lead in case at some point it breaks. So next up we've got an effects loop, send and return. This is very, very handy to have. If you've got a Marshall, you're going to want to use overdrive with it, amp overdrive. So, you know, putting delay effects through the front end without an effects loop doesn't sound too good. So it's great to have an effects loop for your time-based effects to make your delays sound great whilst using the overdrive from the amp. Next up is the foot switch input. Next up we've got an audio in, so that's, I must admit, it's disappointing that it has. I wasn't expecting Bluetooth, but it is disappointing that it hasn't got Bluetooth. If you watch some of the other videos, I did a review of the Laney Lion, which is a little battery powered amp, and that did have Bluetooth, so that was perfect for practicing along to, you know, YouTube videos or whatever, to, you know, wirelessly. This can't do that. You'll need to plug your phone into this aux in. It still works, but it's not as convenient, not as good, and I wish I had Bluetooth. So come on, Marshall, give it Bluetooth. Anyway, next up is the emulated out. So what that's for, I mean, normally if you want to record with this amp, to get the best sounds, just mic it up. But if that's not an option, you can always just take a direct line out of that emulated out. What that does is, it's got software built in that'll emulate the cabinet or the speaker and go directly to your recording software, your DAW, your USB interface, whatever you want to do. Now, I haven't tested that yet. I'm not expecting great things of it. It's not going to sound as good as the mic'd amp, but it's probably going to sound better than just taking the direct out without the speaker emulation. It's a nice thing to have. Historically, these haven't sounded great, so but it's there. I would have preferred the Bluetooth, to be honest, but there you go. And most interestingly, is that a word? Anyway, the low power mode. So this is a 1 watt amp, but pressing the switch will take you down to 0.1 watts. So 1 watts is far too loud for in the house, if anybody's wondering. Far too loud. And even the 0.1 watt mode is, you know, towards the maximum volume of its range. It's still too loud, but for in the house. But it is a lot more usable. But we'll see that later when we come to the sound tests. That's probably the main reason I bought this amp. I basically wanted a Marshall amp that would be low wattage enough to use in the house, and this is the way to achieve that, low power mode. So last but not least is the speaker out. Now this is a 16 ohm out. I've never tried this connected to another cabinet, but it needs to be a 16 ohm cabinet. To be honest, I don't know the ins and outs of that. Maybe you can drop us a message in the comments below, or there is no button. Yeah, and I would love to set this up with a 4x12 cabinet, for example. That would sound amazing. But for now, I think it sounds great with just the little 8-inch speaker for in the house. And that's it for the back panel. So, coming around with the front panel, it's probably worth mentioning at this stage that, you know, the features that you've got on this little all valve amp for around 240, 250 pound is probably better than anything else on the market. And that's why I got it. So the value for money is brilliant, and you're getting the Marshall name. You know, you're getting the pedigree, you're getting the sounds, the looks, everything. So, take a deep breath. Coming out the front panel. Hold on a second, right. So again, from left to right, we have classic gain, which is basically the clean channel. Pardon me. That goes from crystal clean all the way up to a slight break up with a Stratocaster, probably a lot more breakup on something like a Les Paul with humbuckers. This is just a single volume, a single gain. It hasn't volume, not gain. It hasn't got its own separate volume like the ultra gain overdrive channel has. Anyway, we'll come to that later. Next up is your channel. So actually at this point, I think I will plug the amp in so you can see. So here we go. So this is your channel select button. Green is your clean, red is your ultra gain or overdrive. So the next up is your ultra gain channel, which is you've got a separate gain and volume control here, so you can control, you can lower the volume and have a lot of gain basically on this channel. With the clean, you can basically boost the volume to get extra gain, but you can't lower the volume, so it gets quite loud even in the house on the clean channel. The ultra gain channel is much more controllable. This goes from quite a bluesy sort of crunch overdrive to, you know, saturation. A lot of people have said that this, you know, the DSL range is more geared towards metal players, but I think that depends on what guitar you're using. If you're using something like a Stratocaster or a Telly, you know, with lower output pickups, I'd say it's definitely not a metal amplifier. The gain range is a lot lower and sits a lot nicer. If you've got a Les Paul, perhaps there will be a little bit too much gain for some people, so that's just worth bearing in mind if you come to purchase. So the next switch is your tone shift. Now this is interesting. This is basically a switch that shifts the mid frequencies. I think it's basically scoops out the mid frequencies. Now this is useful if you sort of, because this has got a shared EQ. So it's useful if you like to set up your overdrive sounds a certain way. So for example, I like to set my overdrive sounds on a Marshall, mid's pretty high, bass pretty high, and treble backed off, which is fine for overdriven and lead sounds. But when it comes to clean sounds, I like to have the mid scooped out a little bit. So instead of switching channels and then scooping the middle out, what you can do is just hit that button. So that saves a lot of time when you're switching between channels. Now, the mid shift isn't foot switchable, of course, so there is a certain degree of compromise between the two channels if you're going to use this live. But for recording, that is just a nice labour saving device that you can use to save you a little bit of time when switching between your clean and your overdrive channels. So speaking of the equalization, it's your usual treble, middle and bass. Standard Marshall fare, very predictable. I know a lot of people like to sort of run everything at 10. It's a bit of a classic Marshall sound, but yeah, like I say, for a Strat, I like to back off the treble a bit and boost the middle and the bass for overdriven sound. But we'll get that later. We'll just switch them back to 12 for now. And last but not least, the reverb, which is it's not a real spring reverb, it's digital, but it's got a really nice sweep to it. So even at max, you can get some nice soundscapes, you know, out of a clean Strat on that. Very, very usable, even overdriven for lead, it's nice. Yeah, it doesn't go too far. It's gonna, and you can't just have a tiny little bit. I mean, I know some amps, you know, it's on off, but this is not. It's nice graduated travel, but we'll get that later. It's a nice reverb, basically, and then you've got your big Marshall on off button, which I like. So that's just going through a few of the features for you. So I'm going to get set up now to take you through a few sounds. I'll just show you the guitar. Just sorting the camera out there. Right. So so for this, I'm going to be using my Strat. So this is a Fender Player Stratocaster. I think it's about a year old now. A couple of modifications made to it. Put the block saddles in. Got the sort of American style string tee, but this is basically it's a nice Strat. The pickups, not vintage output. The Undergo 5s, which are a little bit hotter, but these are stock for this guitar, so you can expect pretty classic Strat tones, but maybe a little bit higher output. Not as high as a Humbucker or Texas Specials, but yeah, you can expect a little bit more output from these rather than the usual Undergo 3 vintage sets. So there you go, and the rosewood board as well. So I'm just going to get tuned up now. Plugged in. Actually, no. Okay, so we'll start with the clean channel. EQ pretty much set flat. The gain on the clean channel's none. Reverb just over half. For everything that I'm going to do here, I'm going to go from position 1, which is the neck pickup, through to position 5 on the Strat, which is the bridge. Completely different, obviously. So anyway, so let's start with that. So it's the clean channel and the Marshall DSL1 through a Fender Player Strat, position 1, which is the neck pickup. No, I mean immediately, you know, with everything just set at 12, you know, it's a really nice clean tone through a Strat. Don't think there's a lot I would change with that. Maybe reduce the mids a little bit. Sorry, reduce the treble a little bit just to take away that, you know, that Strat spike. Let's try that. Yeah, so pretty happy with that. I'm going to move to position 2 now, which is the neck and middle. Just great sounding middle position there. Again, there's not a lot I would change with that. I'm going to just leave the EQ the way it is on the amp. Let's go through the rest of the positions. So this is the middle position. You know, always a little bit of a harder sound with that middle pickup, just pokier. You know, everything that you would expect, you know, to come out of a Strat, you know, it gets reproduced on the clean channel of this amp. I think Marshalls are very underrated for cleans. And then moving on to one of my, well, probably my favourite Strat position, the bridge and middle together. And then just for giggles, I'm just going to max the reverb. So it's got a nice tail on there and that reverb, and it's great for clean. Lovely. And then onto the bridge, position 5 now. Not the best position for clean on the Strat, I think everybody would agree, but let's see. I mean, to my ears, that's not as offensive as it usually is. It has got a nice balance to it. I'm just going to back off the tone control a little bit, which you can do on the player Strats. It's wired in, unlike vintage Strats. So just backing off the tone a little bit on that bridge pickup, just to get rid of the spike a little. Nice. Now I'm just going to sort of play with the EQ a little bit. So I am happy with that, but what I'm going to do is, that was with the tone shift engaged, by the way. So it was cutting out the mids. I'm going to see what happens if I cut even more mids out, and things should start to get even more stratty. Back to position 4 this time. I'm just going to boost the treble and bass. So this is, the mids have been well scooped out here with the treble and the bass boosted. And those are beginning to sound very, very wide. A bit too much treble on there. And I'm going to boost the reverb again. Position 1, which is the neck pickup. And really nice sustain on that. I'm going to back off the tone all the way on the neck pickup, which is one of my favourites. Bringing some more of the tone control there, but too much. I'm just getting myself a little bit lost in the music there. Just playing around, noodling about. And that's the thing with valve amplifiers and decent guitar. You can just get lost in the sound. I don't think that happens with digital equipment. But I'd be quite happy to just play this all afternoon, but I'm not going to, because the video is going to be too long. So let's just put it back into the neck position here, and I'll just show you what happens when you max the gain. on the clean channel. So it works best here if you use the highest output pickup here, which is the bridge position 5. But you get, oh, hold on, I'm going to just back off the reverb a little bit. You get this sort of effect. I don't know if you noticed the huge leap in volume there. I don't know if that came through on my phone, but yeah, much louder, and it's got that little bit of grit to the tone now. So, you know, if you've got, you know, decent overdrive pedals you want to stick in the front of this, that would sound amazing. You know, it doesn't really need the overdrive channel, in my opinion. You would get some crazy good sounds with just this clean channel and, you know, decent board, if that's the way you want it to go. But, you know, you've got that the classic Marshall gain channel as well, which we'll come to in a bit. Moving over the neck. Position 4. Right, so what I'm going to do is just take the mid shift out, boost the middle, boost the bass, back the treble off, back the reverb off a little bit. So I'm going for like a more of a classic, you know, rock bluesy. At this point, and that's on the bridge pickup position 5, very raspy, but it's a sound, you know, it's another sound that's got in its arsenal. Probably could do with the treble taming at that point. With the treble backed off on the guitar too. So it's a very dirty, grizzly type of tone that you get when you've got the tone maxed up on the clean channel. You know, it's not my cup of tea, not something I would use a lot of the time, but it's just something, just another tone that you've got in your box of tricks, really. I think it would work great as a bass for pedals, like I say. And more than that, it's very dynamic. So if you pick on, you pick lightly. Probably this amp at its most dynamic, if I'm being honest. You know, you crank up that gain and play with your guitar knob, as it were. Yeah, you get a quite good range of sounds out there, and it's very touch sensitive. Oof, anyway, so over at the overdrive channel. I think we've covered everything on the clean there. Right, so we'll just click that switch in, and we're going to start again with everything, no reverb, everything on 12, no tone shift, and let's see what we've got. volume's dropped, even at that low gain setting, there's still a little bit of crunch in there. But you know, I think a lot of people have, you know, made complaints about this amp that it's too gainy, and you know, I think that's because they're using, you know, humbuckers, Les Pauls, you know, high output pickups. You know, with a Strat, I mean, I don't think anybody could call that too gainy. And it's not crystal clean, but as a starting point for an overdrive channel, I think that's the perfect place to start. And you've probably noticed, you know, that the dynamics, there's many more dynamics on the clean channel than there is this channel. To begin with, I'll just switch back to the clean just quickly, just to demonstrate. Now, I know the volume was a bit louder, but I think that sort of just demonstrates how, you know, there's much wider dynamic to the clean channel at this point in the gain range than the ultra gain channel. And this time we've got a much squarer sounding, more of a Marshall sounding tone. So bridge pickup. I'll just quickly get tuned up for you, sorry about that, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Yeah, so I think we'll just increase that gain a little bit. Now 1 1/4. Let's back off the volume a little bit. So, you know, just that one little small turn to get it up to 1/4. Because, you know, it was just a fair bit again. But we're nowhere near into sort of metal or even heavy rock territory yet. Over to position 1 again. Going to set the EQ how I normally like it to be set. So mids high for a Strat anyway. Mids high, bass high, treble backed off a little bit. Start with that. So the mids, it seems to be an increase in volume, but that's the mids punching through a lot more there. Feels like he's coming alive at this point. You know, I'll be happy with that tone. you know, for like rhythm, you know, like overdriven rhythm sound. It's got everything that you want in there. Yeah, you know, there's a good range in this gain control. We're gonna now put it up to half, just under half. Now this does introduce a bit of background noise. That's just par for the course. It's not a problem with the amp. This is a gainy amp. These are single coil pickups. Now I'm in the Briggs position at the minute, so I'm just going to put it in one of the hum cancelling positions, which does help matters a little bit. We could also reduce the volume, because at this point in the room it's much louder. So I am going to just I don't know if you can tell, but I am just going to back the volume off a touch. There we go. And this is, you know, you can do anything you want with this type of sound. Typical Strat into Marshall sound, really, and we've still got a lot of the gain control to go. Let's just adjust the mic there. Yeah, so yeah, go to neck position, backing off the tone. Position 4. Bridge. So what I'm going to do now is, finally, let's see what's like max volume. Not max volume, max gain. Lot more background noise there. Just backed it up to position 4 there, and bridge in middle just to use the hum cancelling. That's all the sustain you could want, really. I'm sat a little bit away from the amp here, but I'm going to try and get a bit of harmonic feedback going, but I need to be a little bit closer to the amp for that, but you definitely get this amp. Starting the kicks, I've had the pickups a little bit closer to the amp. That would be singing now with feedback. the reverb, max the middle, max the bass. So I can basically see what this is just see what the amp's got really. Bridge pickup. Pickup, tone off. Now, one of my favourite overdriven sounds on the Strat, which is bridge in middle, of tone back right Right, I'm getting carried away again. So, let's have a bit of a rundown then of this amplifier and just switch off that. So yeah, £240 for all that. You know, all those features, 2 channels, 3-foot switch, FX loop, which a lot of, you know, low wattage recording amps don't have. You've got your line out, which is great. I wish I had the Bluetooth, which would have been even better for practicing along. You can hook it up to an external cab, which again I never use, but that's not everybody. A lot of people would love to hook it up to a 4-way 12 and you get absolutely massive sound. I mean, that was a massive sound that from just an 8-inch speaker. So imagine what it's going to be like, you know, with 4 12-inch speakers in a big cab. It's not UK made anymore, these amps. I think these amps are made in I think they're made in Vietnam. Correct us if I'm wrong there, drop us a comment. But I don't care. This is just, it's a Marshall. It looks like a Marshall, it sounds like a Marshall. It is a Marshall, built like a Marshall. I love it. It was £240. I thought it is, it's a bargain. Anything else? I think I've just about covered it. You know, played through a Les Paul or a guitar with higher output pickups or humbuckers. I think, you know, a lot of people could be right. I think this would be maybe a bit too gainy. It's more of a metal amp, but you know, guess what? You've got that clean channel. The clean channel is amazing, crystal clean, and you can have as much fun as you want with the again overdrive channel, as you've seen. You know, that was just, you know, me and a Mexican Strat with a tremolo, and I could just been here all afternoon just playing with this amp. It's been about It's coming up to 50 minutes, but it's been a quick 50 minutes, so I've enjoyed it. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that video. You know, if you're looking for a practice amp, you're probably better off getting a bigger amp, because you're going to have to make it up. It won't compete with the drummer. A 1 watt amp won't compete with the drummer. If you want to pay, you couldn't make it up and go for the PA. I've always thought that's not the same. You're not getting the exact same sound out of the speakers, a guitar amp made through speakers as you are out of a guitar amp. If I was gigging, which I'm not, I would go for one of the bigger Marshalls, you know, like a DSL20 maybe. They're still doing them, or DSL40. But anyway, that's a nonsense. For at home, for recording, for practicing, it's perfect. You know, it's not as convenient or light as my little Laney Lion, but that's just a little battery powered amp that I can use with Bluetooth, and this sounds 100 times better than that. There's no substitute for valve amps, in my opinion. I used a Boss Katana live for a lot of years, and that was a good amp. It's decent sounds, but it can't compete with this, sound wise, tone wise. And there's just something about valve amps that are just more enjoyable to play through. I can while away the hours with this. With the Katana, you tend to get bored, like you do with anything, because it's just not an inspiring sound. I think that's all I'm going to say about that. So yeah, the 0.1 switch, watt switch, is, if it didn't have that, it wouldn't work half as well. And I need it to be 0.1 watts for in the house. 1 watt, even 1 watt, is far too loud for in the house. I haven't recorded with it yet, but I soon will do, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to sound great on tape, this amp. I'm waffling. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope the playing wasn't too bad. I hope you got answered a lot of your questions about the features and the sounds of the amp. And I hope it's helped anybody who's looking to purchase an amp of this type soon, particularly, you know, for Christmas or whatever. Perfect Christmas present. You know, anybody that's a gigging guitarist and they're using the massive amps for in the house, get them one of these for in the house. They'll love you for it. So anyway, thanks for watching. You know, I appreciate it if you could, subscribe to the channel. It helps. Click on the like, whatever the bell is, or whatever people do on YouTube. I'm only just starting off on my journey. Check out the other videos on my channel. I'm going to start doing a few more soon. And drop us a comment. Tell us what you think. Tell us if it's a terrible amp. Tell us what better amps are out there. I did my own research. I think I've arrived at the answer. Marshall DSL1. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye.